rejoice and be glad today. Whether in your car, in your house, the single you got a spouse. It's now time to open up your mouth and let the praise out. Femi Sachs, what we telling them?
This is a day, bro.
Okay, let me hear it.
This is the day, Lord, you have made. We will rejoice and be glad.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you all. As you enter, please say good morning. Good morning, good morning. I heard that y'all had a time on Sunday. I'm so mad that I missed it, but I will be there this Sunday. Good morning, Siobhan. Good morning. Good morning, Lizzie. Good morning. Good morning, Toya. I don't know who P. Duns is, but good morning to you. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started on this morning. I did go back and listen to the service from Sunday, and I want to piggyback off of one of Bishop's key points that he made. He said, stop reacting emotionally, start responding spiritually. So have you ever reacted in a way that surprised you? Maybe you snapped, maybe you cried unexpectedly, you shut down emotionally, or made a decision in the heat of the moment that later needed an apology, a refund, or a do-over. The truth is, emotions are real, but they are not always reliable. Good morning, LaKenya. They are signals, not steering wheels. Emotions are signals, not steering wheels. In 1 Samuel 1, Hannah is overwhelmed emotionally, yet she doesn't let those emotions dictate her destiny. Instead, she redirects herself and chooses worship over worry. And that's the same thing that we need to do. She moved from emotion to devotion. And today, God wants to teach us how to do the same. And this is the title of this morning's devotional, From Emotion to Devotion. If somebody can type that in the chat, From Emotion to Devotion. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to read 1 Samuel 1, 2 through 19, the New Living Translation. I don't know why I didn't shorten this, but I wanted I wanted y'all to get the full context of the text today. So 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 2 through 19, reading from the New Living Translation, and it reads, Elkanah had two wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah did not. Each year, Elkanah would travel to Shiloh to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of Heaven's armies at the tabernacle. The priests of the Lord at the time were the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas. On the days Elkanah presented his sacrifice, he would give portions of the meat to Peninnah and each of her children. And though he loved Hannah, he would give her only one choice portion because the Lord had given her no children. So Peninnah would taunt Hannah and make fun of her because the Lord had kept her from having children. Year after year, it was the same. Peninnah would taunt Hannah as they went to the tabernacle. Each time, Hannah would be reduced to tears and would not even eat. Why are you crying, Hannah? Elkanah would ask. Why aren't you eating? Why be downhearted just because you have no children? You have me. Isn't that better than having 10 sons? Once after a sacrificial meal at Shiloh, Hannah got up and went to pray. Eli the priest was sitting at his customary place beside the entrance of the tabernacle. Hannah was in deep anguish, crying bitterly as she prayed to the Lord, and she made this vow: O Lord of heaven's armies, If you will look upon my sorrow and answer my prayer and give me a son, then I will give him back to you. He will be yours for his entire lifetime, and as a sign that he has been dedicated to the Lord, his hair will never be cut. Verse 12. As she was praying to the Lord, Eli watched her. Seeing her lips moving but hearing no sound, he thought she had been drinking. Must you come here drunk? He demanded. Throw away your wine. Oh, no, sir, she replied. I haven't been drinking wine or anything stronger, but I am very discouraged, and I was pouring out my heart to the Lord. Don't think I am a wicked woman, for I have been praying out of great anguish and sorrow. In that case, Eli said, go in peace. May the God of Israel grant the request you have asked him. Oh, thank you, sir, she explained. Then she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. So Hannah was distressed, she was provoked, she was misunderstood, and emotionally overwhelmed. Her home life hurt her, right? Her rival tormented her. Her husband didn't understand her. He thought that he would be enough for her, but he didn't understand the longing that she had to be a mother. Even the priest misjudged her. But instead of staying trapped in emotional pain, Hannah redirected that emotion toward God, and it became devotion that changed history. So, point one on this morning: take your emotions to God, not people. Take your emotions to God, not people. In verse 10, it reads, Hannah was in deep anguish, crying bitterly as she prayed to the Lord. She didn't deny her emotions, she redirected them. She didn't go run off to one of her friends or try to explain herself to her husband. He seen her weeping, but she knew that he couldn't understand her, so she went straight to the Lord. She didn't pretend that she was okay. She brought her tears to God. Devotion begins where denial ends. Devotion begins where denial ends. She didn't react publicly, she responded privately. She didn't lash out at Penina. She didn't curse out her husband. She didn't storm off. She didn't get an attitude with Eli for questioning her character. Hannah made God her emotional outlet, not people. Real maturity is choosing the prayer closet over the clapback. Write that. That's good. Real maturity is choosing the prayer closet over the clapback. We can't clap back at everything. Turning emotions into prayer is the first step toward devotion. Hannah cried to God, not about God, right? She cried to him, not about him. She didn't curse him or question. She wanted a child, so she went straight to the Lord. So your devotion grows when you allow God to process your emotions with you. When you pray first, the Holy Spirit becomes the filter over your emotions. Prayer replaces panic, presence replaces pressure, and peace replaces impulse. Prayer replaces panic, presence, the presence of the Lord replaces pressure, and the peace from the Lord replaces impulse. Spirit led responses are rooted in discipline. In Galatians 5:16, it says, walk in the spirit and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So she could have lashed out at Penina for taunting her all those years, but she didn't. She went, took it, her emotions to God. So the more time you spend with God, the less reactive you become. The more time you spend with God, the less reactive you become. Devotion reshapes emotion. Point number two is acknowledge the emotion, but don't surrender to it. So Hannah moved from emotional pain to spiritual surrender. Verse 11, it read, and she made this vow, O Lord of heaven armies, of heaven's armies, if you will look upon my sorrow and answer my prayer and give me a son, then I will give him back to you. He will be yours for his entire lifetime. And as a sign that he has been dedicated to the Lord, his hair will never be cut. So she was praying for this blessing from God just to give it back to him. Give God back the blessing because everything belongs to God. So she wanted to carry it. She wanted to experience being a mother, but she wanted to be a mother so bad she was willing to give her son back to him. That's love. This is the turning point of her situation. Her greatest pain became her greatest offering. Hannah didn't just cry, she surrendered. Her devotion became deeper than her desires. She was willing to give God the very thing that she longed for. How many of us can say that we would do that? Lord, I prayed for this for so long. I'm willing to give this thing back to you once you give it to me. Even if I can have it just for a little while, I'll give it back to you. Devotion is proven when your prayers shift from give me to use me. Use her as a mother, dear God. Emotion says, I need relief. Devotion says, I need God's will. So Hannah's prayer moved from request to commitment, right? She aligned her emotions with God's purpose. And once surrender happened, her emotional turmoil was exchanged for supernatural peace. So devotion transforms pain into purpose. You can feel an emotion without being led by it, right? Even Jesus himself, he felt sorrow and anger and grief, but he never let his emotions override obedience. He stayed obedient to the Father. So feeling emotions is not a sin, but being driven by them can be dangerous. Being driven by emotions can be dangerous. They are indicators, they are not dictators. They indicate that something is wrong. They don't have the authority to control you, though. So you have to man up and take control over your emotions. So I said that they are indicators. So anxiety indicates that something needs attention. Anger indicates that a boundary has been crossed. And sadness indicates a loss that needs healing. Emotions signal, but they should never steer. It's a warning sign. When you acknowledge emotions, you can redirect them. So before reacting to a situation, ask yourself some questions like, hey, self, why are you feeling down? Why are you disturbed? What bothers you about the situation? Why does what this person said affect you in this way? Is this feeling true? Is it biblical? Is it helpful or harmful? Talk to yourself. I know they say that there's a place where people go that talk to themselves, but no, you have to talk to yourself. Calm yourself down before you react. Always think before you react. Every action does not deserve a reaction. I can't say that enough. So learning to question your feelings is part of spiritual maturity. And the last point today, point number 3, is true intimacy with the Father will transform you. True intimacy with the Father will transform you. Hannah left the presence of God feeling different than what she came. She was different. In 1 Samuel 18, it said, when she was talking to Eli, she said, "Oh, thank you, sir," she explained. Then she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. So nothing around her had changed. I'm sure Penina was still talking her mess. Her body was still barren. Her circumstances were the same, but Hannah wasn't the same. So something within her changed. Her mind was transformed. Her strength was renewed. Her heart was at ease. And this came from an encounter with the Lord. So devotion changes you before it changes your situation. God has to do a work in you before your situation can change, right? She got up with a new posture, she had new peace, a new expectation. Her worship settled what her emotions couldn't. Her worship settled what her emotions couldn't. So when you're going through, when you're having an attack, because spiritual warfare is well, worship through it. Worship through it. Devotion produced confidence, right? She believed God before she saw the results. That's devotion. It's confidence in God, not circumstances. It's confident in God, not circumstances. God honored her devotion with manifestation. Later in chapter 2, Hannah, she had her son, right? She receives her son Samuel, but by the time she got him, her heart already belonged to God. And her devotion didn't end with receiving. She kept her vow to God and gave Samuel back to God. She kept her vow. When you make a vow, your commitment, you have to stay on it. You have to stay committed to that vow. Emotions, they ask for blessings, but devotion becomes the blessing. Emotion asks for blessings, devotion becomes the blessing. So let me wrap up here. So Hannah teaches us three things: to take your emotions to God, not to people. Let prayer turn your pain into surrender. And then let devotion change you before God changes anything around you. So this is how you move from emotion to devotion, not by avoiding them, but by bringing them into God's presence and letting Him transform you from the inside out. I hope that this devotional was a blessing to you all on this morning. I pray that you share something that you learned with somebody. Go be a blessing to somebody else. I hope that you all tune in tomorrow for Thursday's devotion. Bye, y'all. Have a good day.